We are live from my office. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Chamber Talk with Torrie. Joining me today is Chandler Schaak. He is a proud owner of HindSight.vip, and we are going to learn about blockchain, why it's important, the many other great offerings of HindSight.vip, and I can tell you, we've been sitting here talking about it a little bit, and I learned way more than I knew it could do. And so we're going to kind of dive into that right now. So thank you for joining me, Chandler.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so this is a member of the Boardman Chamber of Commerce. It is a kind of a new technology.
Yeah.
And so we're excited. We have a lot of information to share right now, and we're going to learn a lot more about it. If you have questions as we go, drop them in the comments. I will be watching the comments, and we can answering those questions. We'll also be placing information on links to their website and any of the contact information about their business. So let's just get started. So let's start by introducing you. Who is Chandler Schaak, and what inspired you to launch HindSight.vip?
Yeah, so I'm Chandler. I'm from Boardman, Oregon. What honestly inspired me was I went to PSU and the University of Washington, tried to learn about these technologies a little bit, and when I came back and tried to explain this to other people, it just made no sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me still.
And even when I was going to school, even when I was using these technologies, they aren't easy. They are not user intuitive. It's very similar to the old days of computer where you're using DOS. I don't know if people remember that.
Oh, yeah.
But where you're telling the computer to run or using ones and it isn't intuitive. There is no icon to click on right now. And so HindSight.vip was built and designed to kind of bridge that and to be not the icon you click on, but kind of a visual reference and to kind of help make this less technical and more easy and accessible for people. Make it make sense.
Perfect. For your brain, maybe not mine, but your brain, yes. So it was interesting. We talked about all sorts of stuff, the crypto and the fraud and all this stuff. So there's so many opportunities beyond what we're going to talk about today that this does, right?
Yep.
So, okay. So those unfamiliar, let's just get down to the nitty gritty of it. What exactly is blockchain, and why is it becoming such a big deal?
Okay, so right off the bat, blockchain cryptocurrencies are becoming such a big deal because Bitcoin's hitting high prices and is worth a lot of money, and that is what's making this technology pop and drawing attention.
Okay.
What it actually is.
Yes.
Think of a notebook in a classroom.
Okay. Like a 3-ring notebook.
Yep.
Okay, with pages.
Except we're going to say it's slightly magic, but we'll get into that in a second, okay? Everyone has the same notebook, and every time I write in my notebook,
Yeah.
everyone in the room can see it.
Okay.
And so it shows up in everyone's notebook on the same line, at the same day, at the same time. And if anyone ever goes and tries to erase something from that notebook, then your notebook doesn't match other people's.
So is this in the behind the scenes in a website, or where does this information store?
So to step away from the notebook analogy a little bit, every transaction carried out on a blockchain,
Okay.
every action you take, connecting and liking a post, sending that Bitcoin, sending that currency is logged in that notebook.
Oh, okay.
And because it's in everyone's notebook,
Yep.
if anyone ever goes and tries to say, no, you didn't send me that money, or I actually have 1 million Bitcoin, no one else's notebook has that transaction.
Okay.
And so it's very easy to throw those out and be like, that we aren't validating that, the transaction, the network isn't authorizing that.
Okay.
And so these notebooks get replaced with computers, and that is core concept. If you can understand that, you are 75 to 80% there for understanding blockchain. Everything just builds on top of that, and they use scary and confusing words.
It's all scary and confusing to me at the moment. So I'm going to be learning as we talk about at Chamber Talk with Torrie. So
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we discussed that. So speaking of confusing and intimidating, how would you explain, we kind of did that in the simplest terms of that. We kind of did that, and then we kind of expanded on how that behind the scenes stuff is happening. So let's get into that. You mentioned the Bitcoin and other blockchain networks. What makes that one work with unique?
Yep.
You work
So
with unique stuff like this.
think of every blockchain or network as its own like operating system. Like you have Windows or you have Mac.
Okay.
And so Bitcoin runs on Bitcoin.
Okay.
Ethereum runs on Ethereum.
Okay.
And so what separates those
What's
is
Ethereum?
That's another blockchain.
Okay.
And the currency is
style?
called Ether.
Okay. Okay.
And so on Fox News, you may see like Bitcoin and Ethereum now.
Yeah.
That Ethereum is a completely separate network. It's
Okay.
kind of like the Mac or iOS
Right.
of blockchain.
Okay.
And so Bitcoin is the currency, or if Bitcoin was a nation, it would be the currency that all the transactions in that nation settle on.
Okay.
And so if you're using that operating system and you want to add something, you want to add a transaction, there's a small fee. And Bitcoin is the fee or the currency you pay for that network.
Okay.
Ethereum is the currency or fee you pay for the Ethereum network.
Okay.
And you just can apply that to 99% of all networks.
Okay.
And so that's your kind of core concept there.
Yep.
And so Bitcoin is used more, think of it as like an old cell phone. It can just text and call. You can only do like financial, sending money or Bitcoin to and from.
Okay.
Ethereum's kind of like your smartphone. It gives you apps. It gives you many other things that can be built on top of it because its operating system's a little bit different.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so between Ethereum and Bitcoin, those are the two, for most people, if you understand that, you're good.
Okay, and then that's all part of this blockchain, and how does HindSight come into this piece of that?
Yep, so Bitcoin and Ethereum are two separate blockchains.
Okay.
Just like the example, they're two separate operating systems. HindSight comes in, and every blockchain that exists has a way for anyone to go online and look at the notebook.
Okay.
On Ethereum, it's called Etherscan. On Bitcoin, they have some other things. But HindSight's goal is to replace that. So when you're looking at this notebook,
Okay.
we're now going to relate it to a checkbook, very similar, has lines, has... When you're looking at Etherscan and traditional technology, it uses these long 0x159,
Coding,
think barcode but alphanumeric,
right?
can be dozens of digits.
Okay.
You couldn't manage a checkbook like that.
No.
You couldn't pay for fees. You couldn't pay for if you weren't writing down John's, feed store.
You're right.
And so we take that. That's what we do. We make things, you may have heard about them, like smart contracts.
Mhm.
So a business on the blockchain is going to
Uh-huh.
show up as a square. A usual person like you or me
Yeah.
shows up as a ring. My personal wallet is a ring. The HindSight wallet or the accounts that HindSight uses
Mhm.
show up as squares.
Okay.
And so then 6 months later, if you're playing with this technology, if you're using it, and you're trying to figure out what did I do, I need to send something to the accountant, I want to see what's going on, HindSight's a great tool for that.
Okay.
And so that's what we're trying to do, these tools that right now are focused for developers
Mm-hmm.
and are really designed for everyone. Like everyone should be able to go on and verify their money got from point A to point B correctly.
Okay.
If you put that behind hashes, if you put that behind technical mumbo jumbo, it's going to be the DOS rather than clicking and opening up the task manager.
Right.
And so that's what we're trying to help with.
Okay, cool. So HindSight is a member of the Boardman Chamber of Commerce,
Yep.
and we have a lot of small businesses. We were talking about small businesses in Boardman and stuff like that. If you're a small business owner or a member of the Boardman Chamber of Commerce, how could HindSight help them? And what should we know about that, and how would you help them?
So
with that?
first and foremost, I would say HindSight can help you specifically because this is what we're built and designed to do.
Okay.
We want to make sure no small businesses, no individuals get left behind. We've been through the internet, we've been through the computer, we've been through these cell phones, apps. This technology, just like those podcasts, things like that may have seemed scary and skeptical and been malicious or bad at the time, but they're part of our daily lives today. Blockchain, and not just for the financial and because of the money and price tags we see, but
Remind
gonna
us
start
while we
getting
wait.
on us.
While we wait, there we go.
But,
Waiting to turn the lights on. Sorry.
and so making sure that that people don't get left behind for that. And so reach out, experiment with HindSight, use our team, ask questions, read some articles. There's amazing use cases for supply chain, for owning your own data. And HindSight's happy to help people explore those and find out where blockchain fits into their lives, help address things. I mean, we're a block explorer because that is where, kind of like a gateway to blockchain if you want to verify what's going on.
Right.
And that gateway needs to have a nice, easy, wide door for people.
Right. So before we came on live, we were talking about the fraudulent stuff, and you mentioned the reds and the different things. What is that? How does that incorporate? What's that?
So as I mentioned, we take these hashes and we shape them.
Okay.
So things like businesses or smart contracts are squares. If that business or that smart contract is sitting out there and we've been getting reports that they're doing something malicious, we will color code them orange.
Okay.
And so by looking at a wallet, if you're talking to someone on Twitter and they're shilling this coin and they have their wallet up somewhere and it's in orange or it's in red, be very careful. That's not a good actor.
Okay.
And so we take the next step. We actually got our first patent, and it's related to using machine learning to look through these transaction histories, look through this code, and look for things that explicitly have malicious behavior that meet the pattern of bad actors, or that have code in that contract that is blatantly malicious, and we color code those red. And so if something's sketchy, we make it orange. Do your due diligence. If it's red, either leave it alone or get your money out. Is kind of our...
And then that stuff is updated on a regular basis. So like if one was good and they started changing, then that changes and all that stuff.
If you go onto HindSight today and you have a wallet, maybe you got scammed in the last year, you report that wallet, you send us screenshots, you will get a response within 24 hours.
Okay. And you guys will help with that?
We will help as much as we can. No one can reverse a transaction.
Right.
But as far as sending things and as far as communicating, helping you understand how that happened, we're more than happy
and to keep it from happening
assist
again.
And facilitate and work with your law enforcement, send things over. We're here to make blockchain accessible and easy.
Okay. So you have a visual explorer in HindSight. What are the users seeing and how should they interpret it?
Yeah, so we do a couple of different things with our visuals, and that's kind of the beauty of visuals rather than transaction hashes.
Okay.
If you want to go view your own wallet, you can. If maybe you've heard about Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Nope.
Okay, big NFT project. I'm sure we've all heard about it at one point or not. If you want to go and view the ecosystem and see who's buying this token or this digital asset, if you want to see who the top holders are for it, HindSight can help you visualize and show all of that. And if there's views or visuals we don't currently have for you that would be helpful, reach out to us. That is what we do. That's what we're here for.
Okay. That's interesting. This is such a new, unknown world. So let's circle back to the beginning. Maybe we should have talked about this. How'd you get into this?
So, say I was going to Portland State University.
Yeah.
And they focus on the business application of this. So they focus on the supply chain. They focus on one day patients potentially owning their own medical records.
Okay.
They talk about owning our own data when we were at Denver last year. Really cool project. But they have a thing, you plug it into your vehicle, and then all that data that your car automatically collects and then sends out, they let you upload that to a blockchain. They pay you in a cryptocurrency. And then smaller, like Canadian car dealerships, small car dealerships, muffler shops, maybe people who make parts, can go and buy that data in that currency, taking your currency price up. And then they're getting the same quality of data that your car is giving to Kia or to Ford. Now the smaller, mid to small sized businesses can actually affordably get. And I have some control. I'm getting some information for when I drive to Vegas.
Right.
And so things like that, and actually owning my data, deciding that I want and monetizing my own data rather than it being monetized around me, I think is really interesting. And so PSU focuses on that side of the business application of it. They don't focus on the code, on the tech. on the how does this actually work, function, happen.
Right.
And so that's why I went to University of Washington.
Okay.
And
It's so interesting. So, okay, what's this cost? Like,
So-
what's the cost related to this? Like, if I was to say to you, like, hey, help me do this, like, what's this business look like? What's that?
So to use HindSight,
Yeah, like,
so 80% of HindSight, it sounds like an old Anchorman bit, but 80% of HindSight is 100% free.
okay.
If you want to go on and you want to just experiment and play, you can do that for free.
Okay.
If you're looking to look at cross-chain things, so things going from Bitcoin to Ethereum and crossing those networks or crossing those operating systems. If you want the dev mode, maybe you're a college student looking to get into this, maybe you got a job interview and you want to sound a little bit smarter at work, hold on to your hat, $10 a month, cheaper than your Netflix.
Oh, that is.
$100 for the year. We do appreciate the support if you want to sign up for
Right?
the
I was just going to say, it is a business.
we also, with that, have a real-time notification. So through Discord and by end of week, hopefully through Telegram, you can set up real-time alerts.
Okay.
This spiraled. We initially, it's supposed to be if you were getting scammed, if you were getting hacked, if you were using Coinbase and Coinbase was getting hacked, we'd send you a notification. We have since then, through our partnerships, through the users we have, we've gotten the requests to add price notifications, to be able to track other people's wallets. So if there's a crypto guru out there, if someone's trying to sell you a course, go ahead and track their wallet. Make sure they're not selling while they're telling you to buy. And so there's over 126 different variables. We're working on setting up a ChatGPT wrapper, so that way you can talk to it like a person and not have to use commands. So
Okay.
you can say, hey, notify me if this wallet sells 5% of its net worth.
Okay.
You don't actually have to use commands or really be any more
Right.
sophisticated than being able to type that.
The local, everyday,
Yep.
dumb human to any of this stuff could actually make it work.
Yep. And so those improvements will be coming in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
But that is, again, what your $10 gets you is that real-time notification, is that price, is that you can track people's wallets, you get the notifications when we find something that's scammy that you're interacting with.
Right.
We notify you.
Okay. And so you said this is very like the common beginner user. It's very usable.
That's what we're geared towards. yes.
And at accessibility, is that like computer only? Is that on your cell phone? Like, how can you
All right.
access all this? Like, let's get to that.
Yes. So if you have a browser, if you have Google Chrome, Safari, Brave, name it, we work. We don't have an app on the App Store. But
Okay.
if you use your phone and use Google Chrome, or
Yeah.
if you use your laptop and you use whatever browser you want to use,
Yeah.
if you go to HindSight.vip, we work.
Okay.
And we are optimized
You can
for
just
the
create
mobile.
it as a
and
favorite on your
Absolutely.
browser. Okay. I've had to have notes here because this is like very unknown for me.
I have two though, so it's okay.
Right. You've rattled off like it's no problem here. So like in small communities like that, like what's the bigger impact potential for like a small business in communities like us to have something like this in our area?
So
What's that impact looking like?
I would say HindSight is hiring. The job opportunities for a company like this are unique, are different than what's typically offered. I would say HindSight hasn't been great about it, but HindSight should, now that we have some users, and we launched in December, be kind to us. We should engage with the schools more. Are there coding, are there Python classes that schools and things would like to offer here, and start building that technical knowledge?
Okay.
Not necessarily blockchain specific, but that basic software.
At the basic coding level.
And so doing things and engaging like that. Also making sure, like say HindSight, if you don't have internet, you can't really access the blockchain. HindSight is happy to. We used to help people set up Starlinks in the area, farmers that aren't super technical,
Yes.
set up Starlink. And so I used to do that like as a pastime over the summer and stuff. HindSight itself doesn't do that, but that doesn't mean I'm not still happy to go out
to
and
help you and
so
share
not
that
just for things
information.
blockchain related, but having a software or a tech company I would like to extend the offer that the community should use us for more than just blockchain.
Right.
Like, that's a very focused, very high level technology.
Yeah.
We're happy to assist with basic websites. We're happy to assist with other things, and we are in town. We're local. Please use us.
Okay, so that means where can people go to get started, ask questions, provide feedback if they're interested in learning more about Hindsight? What's that look like?
So on pretty much every social media, you can find us, HindSight.vip or HindSight.vip Inc.
Okay.
Our website is HindSight.vip, so no .com, just .vip.
.vip. Okay.
So if you reach out through social media, through our contact us through the site, we also have a Discord room. We're very accessible, and we try to be. I also believe the Boardman Chamber
Yes.
of Commerce is more than happy to connect us.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think we're going to be having some stuff dropped in the comments here in a sec.
Cool.
So if you're not familiar with this, we can share more information.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, this is exciting. Thank you so much for teaching me about blockchain and all this opportunities that Hindsight has offered. You guys have been a member for the chamber probably 4 years now, 3 years?
2, I think 2, maybe going on 3.
I think you're going on 3 years. This is
Yeah.
your 3rd year with us, so
Yeah.
appreciate the membership and being part of our chamber. And if you guys have any more questions, like you said, you can find it more in the comments or in any of the social media stuff. We'll share all that stuff in the comments. And we'll also, when we repost, we'll share that information directly with a new post. And you can also find any of this information on the Boardman Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel. This will be downloaded and saved to our YouTube channel, so you can share it from there and rewatch any of our past episodes. And I'm excited to say that upcoming in June, we will be talking with Art Matheson, CEO, and Jonathan Edwards, the CEO of Good Shepherd Healthcare System. We're going to learn about the future opportunities of their new facility in Boardman and what they're going to offer Boardman. And so that's exciting. And then that being said, anything last parting words?
I guess just thank you for having us. Great
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce here, and yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I'm excited. This is new world. I might look into this a little bit more. This kind of scares me, because it's like a whole world out there on its own. But
And that's some of it. Again, people are drawn to this because of Bitcoin's at
Yeah.
6 figures, but you don't have to spend money to get into this. You can research, you can learn, you can have a working understanding, and not be spending a bunch of money.
and be safeguarding yourself.
And yes, education doesn't have to be expensive.
Perfect. I love that. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Chamber Talk with Torrie. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.